Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Patrick Carter.
Hello, everybody. How's it going today?
Well, it is going great, and for all of those of you who are joining us for the first time, Patrick is a sales leader who is passionate about helping professionals reach their goals. So today, we are going to be discussing LinkedIn secrets to unlock your sales growth in 2021. I mean, how cool is that? This is going to be a great conversation, Patrick.
This is going to be an opportunity for us to help folks who are using a tool, but they're probably not getting the very most out of it. And for some people, they're not even getting an adequate amount out of it. So this is going to be fantastic to really leverage into 2021.
Absolutely. And for any of our listeners who are joining us for the first time, please take that moment to hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it for Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And while we're on the subject, share the love and click those 5 stars for the series.
Absolutely.
So much knowledge, so many great episodes that Patrick and I have done, especially on that performance power skill series. Gotta tune in. So I'm going to get us started with a question. I'm going to address this to you, Patrick, and I want to ask, how can you effectively target senior decision makers and organizations that would reap benefits from your product or service opportunity, and do that on LinkedIn without making them feel stalked or pestered?
Well, the first thing, the whole thing is about value. When you can first set up that you have something to offer, then whatever it is that that whenever you make that approach to someone, they won't see you as we'll get to that later, as that one and done, as I like to call it. But you're going to be someone who's actually, I like to say, picking up in the middle of a conversation. So if you're going to be, let's just say, for instance, you are going to position yourself as a sales coach, right? What you can do is establish yourself prior to reaching out, establish your bona fides with doing articles, with interacting with other people, liking and doing thumbs up and doing kudos and all those things to help to establish who you are. And then when you make that approach, it's not, well, who is this person? Who is this lady? Who is this man? It is, oh, I've seen this person. That person has something of value. So that's how I would start for folks. And what about you, Lynn? When you how do you approach that? How do you approach approaching decision makers?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually sort of take in a different uh, tangent, and I'm going to talk about 3 things to avoid.
Okay.
So
Okay.
especially to avoid making your prospect feel hunted.
Hmm.
And so this sort of ties into what you just said. And that first thing is to demonstrate worthy intent. And what I mean by that is that worthy intent demonstrates sincere interest, discovery, and active listening. And I want to say, yes, you can listen on LinkedIn because you can acknowledge their responses and comments to posts. And the other thing is that when you do reach out to them, you can make sure that you're really reading what they're saying. It's not a robo response. So the second thing is I want you to think like the customer. Far too often when people are using LinkedIn as a search tool, they fail to see beyond their own paradigm to really understand the client why. So what do I mean by that? It's like, what do they want, need, or lack? And what's in it for them? What's their desired outcome? And how does your prospect perceive the benefit? So you need to take the time to invest and take a walk in their shoes. So, and that comes up to then my third point, so that you can act. on how to deliver value, which is what you were just talking about. And you can deliver that value by framing it around the client why. And then you do that with a planned cadence. So those are things that I think are really important when you're first initially going to do that outreach.
Make that initial approach. Yes.
Yes. All right. So Patrick, do you want me to ask question number two?
Oh. Got, I got my notes, but I didn't put everything together. I have to do a better edit on that. Why don't, if you,
I could, that's no worries.
yeah,
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask you again.
sure.
So this is the next point. How can you cultivate relationships on LinkedIn by adding value and relevance?
Right. So that's where I talk about don't being a one and done. I'll give you an example. I literally got a LinkedIn message, which is wonderful. It was like the in mail, and a person in literally two paragraphs told me who they were, what they did, and asked me if I wanted to buy. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, and I took the moment because I knew we were going to be doing this podcast. And I said, well, let me just see if I can help just a little bit. So I responded to the nice young gentleman, and it said, first of all, no, I'm not going to buy from you because I don't know anything about you. You haven't established any value. However, why don't you take a few minutes to ask me something based on what I've posted in the last month? You know, anything that I've posted that you might find as a great entree into a conversation. Again, vis-a-vis a reply or direct mailing a follow-up article on the same topic. Hey, I really enjoyed your post. This is something I saw that's definitely on those same lines. And then with that entree to continue the conversation, what do you think? Uh, Tell me what you think. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Right? Those openings, salvos into turning it into more than just this one and done. Again, don't you're not you two have connected. So there's this understanding on some level that you are in that circle, in that person's circle, whether you're in a group together or you've actually connected. But no matter what, they posted something and you're following up and you're showing interest, that intent, as you put it, Lynn, and then we can go from there. And if we spin it back, and how is it that what kind of values do you bring when you try to set up that next conversation?
Yeah. So, what's interesting to me is that when I have someone who goes immediately into the hard sell,
Yeesh.
I pretty much have a standard response that, appreciate their, inquiry, but, we're good.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for
best
noting.
wishes for your continued success. I pretty
Right.
much slam the door on them because
Wow.
they haven't taken any time to invest in the relationship. I also slam the door when I actually respond and ask them a question, and I get back this obvious robo response
Oh,
that
those are the
they have
best,
not
aren't
in
they?
any way responded. In fact, I do give them one opening depending on how they approached me the first time and what that was, that I might say, hey, you didn't even it's LOL, this is a robo response, you didn't answer my question, I'm going to answer it myself. Now and then if I get another robo response, you can go in and you can unfollow them. So that
Right.
doesn't mean you disconnect from them, but you just simply unfollow, so you don't have to deal with them anymore. And and then when I've told them that I'm not interested, and don't keep contacting me, and I keep getting these robo response, same thing, you unfollow them. But interesting enough, the other day I had someone respond to that and like, OMG, I didn't even, wasn't paying attention to this, you got me. And, this is my answer to the question. And so now we've started this dialogue,
There it is.
and so in that case, I was saying, hey, I don't do cookie cutter things, even though I love to bake cookies. And, because I did the whole Robo response thing. Anyway, and it's like, okay, what kind of cookies do you like? My favorite are chocolate chip,
Right,
and it was
right,
like,
right,
all of a sudden we started this conversation. So there is a way that you can do that. But I definitely, when people are not trying to add any value. So that was sort of one of the points that, I wanted to make was, as I look down at my notes,
right.
use that generosity of content that we talked about.
Yep, yep.
And you can do this by preparing content and templates ahead of time. Now, that does not mean that you just simply copy and paste. You are going to customize and configure the response so it's from a real human being. And in fact, you
Exactly.
can also, I've got my iPhone here. I don't have the right app up, but you can hit that when you're in the messaging of your LinkedIn app. I'm going to bring it up real quick. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
And I'm going to go into messaging and I'm going to show you this. So here's someone that I've been having this conversation with. You can hit the little record button.
Yep.
So, and then you can hit the record button. You have to hold it and leave them like a real human being actually responding to this. Oh,
Exactly,
wait.
a real
Uh,
conversation, right?
yeah,
Starter.
you can also do the video. So you can actually record a little quick video of yourself answering the question. And those things add a lot of value.
Yep.
But when I get back to this point of creating this content, what you really want to look into are what are those top 10 questions that your prospects would have about your product or service. And then you can create answers for them. And then you can create those answers for them in a variety of formats. It can be video, a podcast, white paper, infographic. There's so many different methods. And what you want to do is, once again, is provide this content. So once again, it's not coming across that you're trying to hard sell them, but instead that you're adding value.
Right.
If they're interested, they can go get this. But here's one thing. And then how do you um, work with this type of situation? So maybe you could say, how do you work with ghosting? What's one of the strategies you use to be a ghostbuster, right?
Ah,
So that's one thing. But that's the key. You're going to communicate some answers and add values, and always end with a question so that they're going to communicate back. I mean, you want to
yes.
create a dialogue and a conversation. This is about a relationship. And that's the most important thing about LinkedIn. And another thing besides the top 10 questions that they would have, you can also, if you work on creating an objection bank, you can also do that same thing where what are those top objections that you have, and then answer those objections, and you do that same mix of delivery methods. And these are really valuable pieces of content that you can use within LinkedIn, with your, out in your other social
Yep.
channels, within, creating blog posts, podcasts, other content that's on your website, and all of those things. And as an organization, you can work as a team to put those together, which are great team building exercises, but that can be used to really create that really strong follow-up sequence and cadence.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, those are the keys. When in our sales trainings, we talk about when face to face having microscripts, right? So having those objections ready, having answers to those objections ready, having those talking points when you hear an opportunity. And the same holds true, and that's exactly what you're saying for these online time delayed and distanced conversations, so that you have that content ready for each one of these little micro situations. And that is good information right there. That I'm writing
Yeah,
that one.
it's just a time saver. And once again, you're not going to just copy and paste it. You're going to customize it for
Customize.
the person and the situation. And
Yeah.
and so Patrick, I've got a new question for you. So what
Okay.
about posting yourself on LinkedIn? You
Sure.
know, should you post? How frequently should you post? What should you be sharing?
That is okay. So that's a $1 million question, because like I said, because here's the thing, right? Different people use LinkedIn for different things. So and that's fine. There are people who use LinkedIn for political reasons inside their corporation, right? I want to, I'm looking forward. I'm looking for that promotion, so let me get to know the people and what, in that thing. So they're not looking to do anything, right? So there's different reasons. But for those of us in sales who have, I'll say it not in a pejorative way, those of us who have an agenda, right? So so what we need to do is, as I said, establish your bona fides. And you can't establish your bona fides passively. You have to actively engage. You have to show what it is. So now I'm a fairly aggressive poster, which is fine. So I post everything. My personal LinkedIn is actually tied to my business Twitter. So
Yeah.
whenever something posts, automated. So whenever something posts to my Twitter account, it automatically posts to my LinkedIn. So I'm automatically establishing my bona fides with morning quotes to motivational quotes and interesting articles that are from other people. And then on LinkedIn, I'm a content creator, so put articles. I actually write articles specifically for LinkedIn, again, creating content that I then put on my website. Whole nother conversation. But I would suggest, as an answer to your question, if your intent, getting back to it, I love that concept. If your intent is to be a seller, then you need to establish who you are. And to do that, there needs to be some consistent posting. And if that consistency is once a week, great. If it is once a day, great. But make sure it is consistent and it's on message to who you are and the message that you're trying to get out. So that's what I would say. The answer is yes. The question is consistency and the content. So I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in once a day. There's a guy who's on LinkedIn. His name is Jay Suggs, and once a day he posts a video, morning motivation video. Great stuff. He won't post anything else, right? He won't, every now and then he might like something of something else or something like that, but that's what you can expect from him. So that's what I'm saying. He's got a consistency, he's got a great look, and when you see that as you're scrolling through, oh, there's Jay Suggs. Let's hear his success story and let's go from there. So yeah, consistency is the key if you're trying to make a message. Now, for you, how do you use, what's your answer to that? Is yours a consistency or content? How do you approach that?
Okay, so I'm gonna actually share one thing that I think it's good for our audience to know, because this is really like an amazing statistic that only 1% of LinkedIn users, subscribers, ever post anything.
Ah, 1%.
Uh,
We're winning.
yeah,
You and I are
yeah,
winning.
yeah. So, and I actually just recently with my team finished a LinkedIn training, a session, live training with Louise Brogan. She does LinkedIn with Louise. She's amazing.
Sure.
And, so we've been doing posts. We've been posting a couple times a week. I have to tell you, I am not the one who's posting it. It's one of my team members. I manage all of my messaging. Take real pride in managing my messaging, which sounds weird, but it's like that's the relationship that I'm doing. And of course, with the posts, it's important. But we've always followed, that one, once again, answering that client why. And you can do that by teaching in the moment. You can suggest action steps. You can provide a solution to an urgent pain. And one of the things that Louise shared with me today is it's so important to ask a question at the end,
Yes.
because that's going to drive the conversation, and then to engage with the comments that are posted. Now, I will say that when I see someone's left a comment, I go in, I will like the comment, respond to the comment. If someone has tagged me, then I do the same. So those are things that I find that are really important. And, that's a key thing, is tagging people. you want to make sure that you're not just blanket tagging people, because that's just going to make them mad. You want to
Yeah.
tag people where it's appropriate. So
Hmm.
like when we post, I use the royal we, like this podcast, which is going to come out in January.
Right.
And so we post the podcast, you know, and talk about what it's going to include, right? And we create a graphic, and then you know, we tag you, you know, so that you know that, oh yeah, you know, so you know we just posted it, and we can tag back and forth. When I'm a guest on a podcast every week, and so the same thing when I see someone's tagged me, then I'll go in and I know that they've posted about it. I'll comment, I'll reshare it with my network,
Yep.
all of those things. Another really amazing statistic that was, you know, I got it from a number of resources, but let's see, oh yes, just text posts are the most likely posts to get interaction with.
Huh.
And I think this is because this is a business platform. People are on the go
Yep.
and they're scrolling through. And it's just like, you know, and so the first two lines, if you do create a longer post, those first two lines are the most important, because
Exactly.
it's like a
Yeah.
story, you're gonna draw people in. And so you want to mix up the different types of content. And I also learned something that was really cool today about posting, uh, you know, documents, and you can create them in Canva, and you can create like a little mini slideshow, you
Yep.
know, with
Yep.
just a few slides so that you answer a question that way. So I'm pretty excited to try out a number of these things.
Sure.
And I'll definitely share that.
Yeah,
The
and I will co-sign Canava. It is a tool. It is you can get the free version. You can pay for it. You can get the pay version. More fonts, more opportunities, obviously in the pay version. But it is great for creating infographics, as you mentioned, and documents and opportunities there. So absolutely a great tool. Make sure you try that. Yes.
yeah, and I can't remember, yeah, if we talk about tools or anything else here, but let's go on to the next question we have, and that's like, how can you optimize your LinkedIn profile,
Right.
Patrick, and how often should you update it?
Right. This is key. And this is going to be this is I'm going to be one of those physician heal thyself moment right now. This because I did some research on this answer, and I was like, wow, I didn't do any of that. So what I am going to do is I am going to give three suggestions, and those three suggestions will be on my new LinkedIn profile in the next 48 hours. So the first thing is to absolutely make sure that your resume is accurate. There's nothing worse than, and I've seen this a couple of times this week, because of LinkedIn's algorithm is based on parts of what you have in your bio and in your resume. I've seen congratulations on your work anniversary when I know these people have left company X years ago, and I'm like, oh, this is, and people see that and they do the obligatory, oh, like, hey, kudos to you, right? That's 7 years. I'm like, I know that person doesn't work here anymore. Anyway, so that's the first thing. Make sure your information is accurate. Second thing, your picture. Make sure your profile picture is is both current and flattering. If you happen to have the gray hairs and you are proud of those gray hairs, it doesn't make sense for me to have my picture from 1984 with my high top fade, right? So that doesn't help, because again, it's about your bona fides and what you are presenting. If what you're presenting isn't in alignment with who you are, that's going to be a challenge. So first, again, two things, two of the three. First, your
Resume.
bio, your
Yep.
picture, and then what I'll call your blurb. All right. What is it about you that you want someone to know right away? So if your profile information isn't reflecting who you are right now and the information you want to get out right now, do that right now. So those three things, your bio, I'm sorry, your resume, your picture, and your bio. So those three things are critical, and they need to stay current. So the second you step out on your own and you leave ABC Corp to start your own place, put it out there. Left ABC Corp, December 2020, and that put it out there and end it so that folks know that this is who you are and where you are, and that you are a value where you are currently. So
Yeah, yeah, those are good. I also have 3 tips, and one of them sort of is going to be a tack on to yours about the photo. And I recommend people go out to Photo Feeler. And
yes,
this is a free tool, and it helps you imagine or evaluate your image on competence, likability, and influence. And so all you do to get the free, you just do karma. So you vote on other people's photos,
right,
and then once you've filled up your karma, they vote on yours, and then you do it again because you want to get at least 80 votes. And the reason for that is it gives you a much better feel for that photo. And
much
you
more
can, if you do
diverse
the
input.
paid version, you can do 2 photos sort of at the same time and see which one people like the best. And you want to get a score of like out of really high, like 8s on all 3 of those categories,
Right,
because that picture's worth 1,000 words, and that's that instant, like, are you likable? Are you competent? Do you have influence? Right?
right,
And then you talked about updating your title. And that is really important because this is essentially a headline. It's when people hover over your name or they look at a comment that you've seen, they're going to see that title. And if they're looking at something you commented on, they're only going to see the first part of the title. And to be honest, they make a decision on whether or not they're interested when they
yep,
do that. So it is a limited character space. So you need to really be selective about the headline and, just practice it out. But like I said, rather than title stuff, I just changed mine yesterday. So
there
I
we
really
go.
started with what I do. How do I help you? How do I help the world? And then I ended with that I'm a CEO, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, yada, yada, right? But I put really what I do and how I help you. And then I have another one. So 2 were a matchup with you.
Yeah,
My third
here's
tip
my-
is different, although I guess I took a slightly different spin on them.
sure.
Uh, is to update your banner image because, this is
Oh,
that
oh, oh, yes, yes.
yeah. So, I mean, if you guys go to my profile, you can see my banner image. But one of the things that I learned from Louise yesterday was that always check it on your mobile app. So make sure that you go in because when I did that and I checked it, and you can create those in Canva again. Um, you can search LinkedIn banner type of thing, and so you can get it exactly the right size. But one of
Exactly.
the things I realized is that part of my text is cut off. So I need to make an adjustment
Sure.
to that banner. But that banner really, what you want to do is make sure that it conveys who you serve. I mean, we're in sales, we serve people. What product or service you provide, and how you stand out and what makes you an authority. So
Exactly.
so once again, this is like that high level pitch, that 60-second pitch, but it's at a glance what you're going to communicate to them.
Yep.
And I mean, we've been talking about Canva. It is absolutely a great tool. And I would recommend the paid version because you can make sure, especially for businesses, you can make sure that all the branding is consistently,
Yes.
the fonts, the colors, and you do that with the paid version. I'm not sure what it costs because I have multiple team members on it. But let's say it's $500. It's the best $500 I ever spent in the year because I can tell you that Photoshop, I have the whole creative suite. That
Yeah.
is like, per person, that is like a $700
And
investment. And then
right
they have to have the skill set to use
there,
it.
and
So
that's
there's only
that's
a,
the hard part, right? That with
yeah,
Photoshop, it's like, yeah, it is ridiculous. I like for me, I would say Photoshop is a normal person buying a tank. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you will be safe on the highway, but really, is all that necessary, right? So, no, we don't need all that. And again, what Canva does is um, it just brings it down into a workable, usable a highly functional tool that you can use. So I didn't realize this was going to turn into a commercial for them, but it absolutely is that good. No, seriously. But
No,
those
yeah,
top
it's a
banners are
really
important.
great
Yes.
tool, and I like your tank analogy. I'd probably say it's like you're on, all of a sudden you're put into a fighter jet and you're told
Yes.
that you have to take off and then you have to land on an aircraft carrier. I mean, what?
I just
So,
wanted to go to the
uh,
supermarket, right? Exactly.
and there's so many great reasons why for your creative team that they would be using the full creative suite. But for everyday people using
Exactly.
Canva and photo feeler and things like that, photo feeler is just super easy.
Yep.
They're great tools. And I do have some recommendations for people who want to have, like a YouTube video they can watch on how to update their profile. You can email or DM me, and I'll send those links along.
Right.
And the same thing, Louise Brogan, you can find her, and we'll include that in our show notes.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, wow, what a great episode.
I know this is like I said. Well, I listen. Great topics, and being here with you. You just bring a wealth of information. It absolutely
Well,
is.
I hope we've provided everyone in our audience some great tips that you can literally go and apply today to boost your sales in 2021. And Patrick, I know that people are going to want to know, once again, for those of you who are new to the audience, how they can find you.
Certainly, of course. As I mentioned earlier, you can find the business on the Twitter side, and you can look at us at Elite Sales Institute, but that's Elite Sales INST. That's easy. You can find us there, or you please on LinkedIn search for Patrick G. Carter, and I will happily connect with you. And you'll see my daily posts, and when you put up something great, we'll start an interaction. Absolutely.
And I'll make sure we share all those links in the show notes as always.
Yes.
This has just been yet another great discussion and conversation. Patrick, thank you so much for all of your just, stupendous advice today.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and thank you for making the calls. And let's get this, and let's make 2021 as exciting as 2020 was.
Okay, wait, in a different way.
In a, in a much more positive way, right? Absolutely, absolutely.
And for everyone out there, if you have ideas you'd like to share, you can leave us comments. You can send me a message on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Since we've been talking about that, you can also email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And you can give us suggestions for topics or tell us something that you like or don't like. We really do want to hear from you.
Sure.
And of course, to stay current on all of our informative advice and breakthrough advantages, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms at petitetoqueen.com. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you all. Have a great day.